So here's one other thing that I've got to consider. Does it matter how far I cut that back to the wall? Well, yeah, it could matter, because the further this goes up against the wall, the difference of the angle that's going to be here. But see, because this can swivel and this can swivel, I should be able to get it either or. You see what I'm saying? As long as I get that in there, and I want to be conscious of trying to keep that straight. But if you had it slightly tilted one way or another, you could change the angle just barely, and it's not going to be enough to matter for the water going in there. Obviously, you don't want the thing to be going too far out of whack, but then you could slightly change this to 20 degree instead of 22.5, let's say. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make a guesstimate back here where to cut it, right? I'm going to give myself enough to where if I need to cut it back closer to the wall, I can. I don't want to do that first. I want to do just enough, maybe 5/8 beyond that, or 3/4 of an inch beyond there, to have enough of this to be able to glue in here, right? And before I glue it, I'll clean everything and I'll do a dry run. And that's another reason why I want to sand that, is so that it slips on. That way I can slip this on dry. I can slip the elbow, the male adapter on this end dry. I can push it in there, line this all up, see if it's gonna be good that way. And if it seems like it's just slightly off, I can always pull the elbow back off and cut it, 3/16 further to the wall if I have to. You see what I'm saying? Cut it back 1/8 of an inch. Try it again. Cut it back 1/8. Because if you cut it back too far and then you find out this is too much of an angle this other way and it's going to be kind of dicey, you don't get any other tries once you glue this thing all together. You see what I'm saying? All right. So you can do trial and errors. That's how you do it. Put everything together dry. Figure things out. If a professional plumber came in here, he'd be scratching his head too. He's not going to have anything in his arsenal inside his truck to make that work. And yeah, he might have a different size basket strainer to take this old one out, or this new one, and put in a different new one that's up higher. So is there two ways to skin a cat? Yeah, there is. You just got to kind of figure things out and go for it. All right? And that's what I'm going to do. Now, like I say, I've seen them before where they come off of the sink and then the elbows over towards the garbage disposal, and then somehow tie it in to where the drain, the P-trap, is coming over here to go over to there. And I've also seen, believe it or not, I've also seen a sink with two separate sink bays and have two different traps in there, and somehow both traps were connected together afterwards before they went into the wall. I've seen that too. I've seen all kinds of things underneath sinks. But see, we got a smaller sink area to work with. If this was in a corner and a big huge area, you could do all kinds of different things. And if the sink drain height was down lower, sometimes they have those lower down. So if they were slightly lower, then there's more options that you can do. But see, the main way that most people do it is straight across from the garbage disposal, directly across with the T. Connect to there, connect with your trap, and as I showed you before, where's that whole unit? Oh, here. See, telescopic disposer kit, and it had all the pieces in there for it to look exactly like this. Here's the garbage disposal, and this one happens to be flip-flop from mine. Straight across, connecting to the T, connecting straight up, and then the adjustable P-trap is down below that, and then it goes into the wall. So see, that's just how most people do it. But is there always Is there always 2 ways to do something? Yes. And sometimes 3. Okay, so I'm gonna slip this out of my way so I can get over to that, and then I'll cut all that and set it up dry and see what it looks like, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done with that. Now do you see why I had to do that? See, I can come in at this angle like that. All right, and then that can swivel around. This can swivel back and forth and all that kind of good stuff. And that was a pain in the rear, just cutting that, trying to get it cut and sanded and everything. And see, this piece here I can take off for right now. Okay, I got this tight. This is coming straight down. I can see that it's not coming down cattywampus. This is straight, right? Okay, so here's my elbow. See there? I cut it about 3/4. That way, if I have to cut it a little bit, I can. And I sanded it, and it still fits on here nice and tight. But see, had I have cut it straight off, then I wouldn't have been able to reuse this male adapter, and this male adapter is fine. Plus, I had enough room. I've got enough room to glue this on, and later on, if somebody ever needs to change it for any other reason, they could chop this right off and put whatever else they want on there and still have enough room before it hits the back side of the wall. Okay, so remember, we're just doing a dry run here, and that's glued on. That is about going to be how it's going to be on there. And so now I take this, and I want to get it on about at the right angle where it's going to be. Ah, no. Oh, okay, I guess it'll work. See, if I swivel that over like that, and then this piece will go straight in there. Look at that. I'm gonna have to cut this a lot shorter, right? But see, I couldn't come at any less of an angle. I don't know if they have a bend that's even less than that little one, because that's half of a 45 degrees. Maybe they have one that's ever so slightly less than that if you go to a wholesale plumbing wholesale outlet, but at the Home Depot, I was lucky to get that. Okay, so now I know this will fit in there, and that's just going to be a little extension piece measured into there, and see, that's all flush. So this pipe I could cut this long if I wanted, and this will be up in there like that, and then I'll push that in there and push that to wherever I want. So see, you don't have to be perfect on this one, as long as it's short enough. Well, you wouldn't want it to go any further than where that elbow is. You see what I mean? And I'm looking at that elbow, and I've got that pretty flat. You don't want it any different, because if I put it at a slightly different angle, now it's going down, so it's coming downhill slightly. You see? So there's a mark. Well, there's not really. Well, there might be. I don't know if there is or not, but I'll put a little mark here with the felt tip pen or something, or maybe even a little piece of masking tape, and put a mark on there so I know when I've got it held. Well, see, I can see the line where they made this, and that line, and see there's another line over here, and so I want those flat across there. So I'll put a couple marks on that, so that when I glue this, I get one chance to glue it and put it up there. Now you see, if I if I cut that pipe back further, I'm actually going to make this angle even more, and I don't really want that. I want it about there where it's at. Okay, and so my next step, I guess I can take this apart, glue this, glue that one, and I'm gonna put another little piece of cardboard stuff down in here, because when that stuff drips, you don't want to try to wipe that up. It gets all over the place and stuff. And I may put a little bit of masking tape on the counter, on the back side too, you know, and get it all just right before I glue it in. The last thing I want is that glue to get all over the place. Okay, so that's my next step, going ahead and gluing this together and gluing this onto that. You know what? It's a good thing Momi had to go exercise, because I only got 2 minutes left on my SIM card, and so I'm going to have to download that all on my computer so that I can finish this project for you. And the trickiest part is to get this off. To unscrew it, you're going to have to use a pair of channel locks. I had to use a pair of channel locks and bear down on it. Sometimes I've even bent the can as I'm holding it to try to get it off. Okay, and so now this one here doesn't matter how I do it, right? But I'm gonna put some on both sides. So I guess I'll take this out and zip it around that, like that. Dip it a little and zip it around here. See, no matter what you do, this stuff gets all over the place if you're not careful. Okay, now as I push it in, I can twist it, kind of. I could have pushed it in further, but I don't want it any further than that. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of hold it, and it's pretty much dry right there, right like that. Okay, there. I hardly got anything on here. Now the trick is to line this up exactly. I'm gonna put, like I said, I'm gonna put a little piece of masking tape on both sides of that so I can get a mark, and then I've got a mark on both of those. That way I can kind of line that up, because I want this coming flat out of the wall. I don't want it tilted up or down or anything like that. Okay, because then when I put my P-trap all together, I put the threads on there. I want that to fit on there nice and even, Steven.